there's a great minister who serves as an unsuspecting model for ministry to me. His name is Frederick Beuchner. He died in 2022. And he was primarily a writer, a novelist, but he could give a hell of a sermon as well. And what I liked about him is he had a humble kind of authority, the kind of spiritual authority that only comes through deep humility. And he demonstrated as well not so much a vulnerability as a woundedness. He had a woundedness about him, most especially due to his father committing suicide when he was a child, and especially in his adult life, a daughter who almost died of anorexia. And Beuchner somewhat famously once shared an encapsulation of his entire ministry. He said, if I have to put it in a few words, it would go like this: listen to your life. See it for the fathomless mystery that it is. In the boredom and pain of it, no less than in the excitement and the gladness. Touch, taste, smell your way to the holy and hidden heart of it, because in the last analysis, all moments are key moments, and life itself is grace. It's a Tuesday morning, and I wake up feeling good. The night before, on Monday, I'd actually thought, Josh, this is the most peaceful you felt in a long time. And then I get a text message. It's from my sister. Dad is in the ICU. He has a case of sepsis, but he's on an IV. He's conscious. He's okay. Life was speaking to me in that moment, and all I wanted to hear was, he's okay. So I grabbed that, held on to it, and went to work, because that's what I do. And at about 3 p.m., the phone rang. Dad has gone into cardiac arrest. He was actually flatlined for 12 minutes, and they were able to bring him back. But now he's incubated. He's on life support. I think most of us would agree that life speaks to us all the time. The question I have to ask myself is, why do I so infrequently listen? Life is talking to me all the time. Why don't I listen more intently? Is it because I like to live in an illusion that I'm right? A kind of tunnel vision? Is it a defense? Because if I truly listened, I might have to change, or I could just break down. I take this news about Dad, I work for another hour, do some errands, get some dinner, sit down with my wife and daughter and eat, and finally I've heard something. Because I get up, I pack a bag, and I'm going to make the 14-hour drive overnight to California, to the hospital to see Dad. I've got my iPhone with me, and I know I'm going to be able to play songs from A to Z. Dad gave me a gift. It's a hard drive with his whole music collection on it, so I always put a few of those songs on there. And I'm on G. It's really late at night, and I'm on my way out of the Rocky Mountains. And there's a song that comes on in G. It's a song that John Lennon recorded just before his death. It's a song called "Grow Old With Me."
Grow old along with me. The best is yet to be. When our time has come, we will be as one. God bless our love. God bless our love. grow old along with me. Two branches of one tree face the setting sun. When the day is done, God bless our love. God bless our love. Spending our lives together, man and wife together, world without end, world without end.
Dad is going to die. If not today or tomorrow, then sometime. Mom's going to have to go too. I'm going to die as well. So is everyone I know. But perhaps the dumbest sentence in the human language is "till death do us part." Love is all that remains. In the end, it's all that really exists. What is all this living and dying and partnering about other than to give birth to a love that is eternal? God bless our love. God bless our love. Listen to your life. See it for the fathomless mystery it is. In the pain and the boredom, as much as in the gladness and excitement. Touch, smell, taste your way to the holy and hidden heart of it. Because in the last analysis, all moments are key moments, and life itself is grace. It's a couple hours later, and I'm in Utah. And it's so dark that all I can see is the light from the headlights. And I pass the little sign warning about drowsy drivers, and it resonates. It speaks just to me. And I catch out of the corner of my eye a little bunny rabbit. Don't do it. Don't do it. What do I do? Do I stop? Do I turn around? Life is so cruel. Things can go wrong just like that. Life is speaking to us all of the time. Let's listen to it right now, shall we? Is there a moment in your morning, just today, that spoke to you? An image, a song, a breakfast, a conversation. Life is talking to us all of the time if we'll listen. And we're often being competed for with all the voices going on in our head. And yet we know there is one that is true, that brings us closer to who we are and to what our lives are all about. If we were to ask Frederick Beuchner how to best listen to our lives, he'd begin by saying, listen to the mediocre things. Listen to the seemingly mundane. He shares using God instead of life, which for us in our faith are interchangeable. He shares there's no chance thing through which God cannot speak. Even the walk from the house to the garage that you've walked 10,000 times before. Even the moments when you cannot believe there's a God who speaks at all anywhere. He speaks, I believe, and the words he speaks are incarnate in the flesh and blood of ourselves and of our own footsore and sacred journeys. Listen to your breakfast cereal. Listen to the sky when you look up at it when you're stuck at a red light. The next time you pick up your phone, use it as a reminder to put it down. Listen. There's so much depth, warmth, brilliance, available to us if we can get over ourselves and those voices that distract us from the now, and it will bring us more deeply into who we are. An important thing to understand about the language of life is that it's very much show, not tell. You may get some words thrown at you, but for the most part, you're going to get vignettes of experience that are well springs of meaning that we can draw upon forever. And sometimes it's wisest to just listen to them for a while. Henry James, the great novelist, gave some advice to writers. He said, "Let nothing be lost on you." I would give that same counsel for all of us seeking to live whole lives. Let nothing be lost on you. My wife and daughter and I, we go out to dinner. El Tapatio. We can talk about El Tapatio after service if you want. And the hostess puts a kid's menu on one side of the table and 2 adult menus on one side. And I asked my daughter where she wants to sit. And she says she wants to sit next to her daddy. And she does for a little while. And then she wants to sit next to mommy. And she does, but mommy says, sometimes children shouldn't always be able to choose where they sit. And I can tell she's a little upset. Listen to your wife. See her for the fathomless mystery that she is. And we get home and I inquire further. When I had come home earlier that evening, I hadn't even looked at my wife. I'd gone straight to my daughter to give her a hug. You never put me first. It's always the church. It's always the random person that calls, or kids, whatever it is. We're married. I'm your wife. You never put me first. Listening is the foundation of healing. And when we're called out in life, it's sometimes better not to defend ourselves, but to listen. Not to try to explain our good intentions, but to listen. Not to argue, but to listen. And in listening, magically, somehow, we don't even have to do another thing. The healing can begin. See, there's no such thing as a bad listener. No such thing as a bad listener. There are only people who choose to listen to the wrong, non-relevant items. But when we're willing to listen to our lives, even when it's hard, even when it punches us in the gut, it has so much valuable information for us. The most important lesson in all of my ministry I learned in February of 2011. I was at the Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living, and we had a matriarch of the church, many of them, but this particular woman, her name is Frida Wright. She's a wonderful practitioner there, and we were having our annual meeting where we select new members for our board of trustees, and she had someone she wanted to nominate to be on the board, and didn't realize that about 2 years before, the board had rewritten the bylaws so that you had to go through a selection committee. You couldn't make a nomination from the floor, and she was furious. And so the meeting ends, and we sit down, and she bawled me out for about an hour. There was yelling involved. There were tears involved, all based on genuine distrust for ministers that she had experienced several times over. The conversation ended and Frida left, and I worried all that week, wondering what my next ministry was going to be. And the question is, how do I fix this? What can I do? How can I make this better? Wondering how to problem solve when a card came that Thursday afternoon. It was from Frida. And I opened the card and it only said 3 words. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Frida and I never had another conflict again. Listen to your life. See it for the fathomless mystery it is. In the boredom and pain of it, no less than in the excitement and gladness. Touch, taste, smell your way to the holy and hidden heart of it, because in the last analysis, all moments are key moments, and life itself is grace. Your life may never tell you the whole truth, but it will never lie to you. Any moment, any scenario carries our wholeness in it if we can decipher and listen and embody what it teaches us. For to listen to life is to learn to find your own voice, is to learn to find the courage and the vulnerability to speak that voice, is to become that which you really are. To learn to listen to life is to learn to find your own voice, is to learn to cultivate the courage and the vulnerability to share that voice, is to become who you are. That's how important that listening is. Another piece of advice that Beuchner gives to us: pay attention to your moments of unexpected tears. Pay attention to those moments of unexpected tears. You remember your last moment of unexpected tears? I was watching Coco with Nancy Drew in the Disney movie. It could be a moment of quiet before you go to bed, or even when you wake up in the morning. A song that came on the radio. Sometime looking up at the sky when you're waiting at that red light. But there's something about those moments of unexpected tears that grab us. They call us to listen. Something important is taking place. Beuchner shares, have you ever wept at anything during the past year? Has your heart beat faster at the sight of a young beauty? Have you thought seriously about the fact that someday you're going to die? More often than not, do you really listen when people are speaking to you instead of just waiting for your turn to speak? Is there anybody you know in whose place, if one you had to suffer great pain, you would volunteer yourself? If your answer to all or most of these questions is no, the chances are that you're dead. My dad had been on life support for a little over 2 weeks, and I had a ticket to fly out to see him on Monday, but on this particular Friday evening, I get to be on a balcony in beautiful Vail, just a couple hours from where my dad spent his favorite times of his young life in Buena Vista, Colorado. And I'm hoping to say goodbye to Dad again, or hello. He's got a respirator, and there's that hope when they pull it that he still might be able to breathe on his own and find his way to recovery. But the time has come that day where the doctors want to remove the breathing tube and give him a tracheotomy where they put the hole in the throat and put the feeding tube, and he wouldn't have wanted that. So I didn't want him to have to wait for me, and so they pulled the respirator, and Dad was gone in 3 minutes. His body was just not going to contain his spirit any longer. And I did all I could do in that moment just to listen. To listen to the flow of the creek, to listen to the darkness of space around me, to listen to the shining of the stars, to listen to the sobbing that turns on and off without any self-control. Just to listen. And sometimes life asks us questions. And the question I was faced with that is where's your dad now? What's going on with his spirit or his soul? And I can't tell you what I think in this moment, but in that moment, it was clear to me that there was no life after death in the sense of for me, his soul, going on into greater dimensions of being. This was just for in that moment. Because I could hear my dad in nature. I could hear him in that flow of the river. I could hear him in that shining of the stars. I could hear him in the black pits of space that surrounded me in those moments. I could hear him in the sobbing of the tears. My dad was a beautiful character, no principle of nature. And he had returned into that aspect of nature. And I got the insight in that moment that nature is filled with sacred memory. That it feels primordial because perhaps it remembers us. The river remembers who stepped into it. The star remembers who's looked up at it. The night sky embraces all in their emptiness and in their longings. And there I found a sense of connection with my father, a wish for him that he could live in sacred memory, the recognition that in this human lifetime, memories are passing and fading, and yet on the soul's time, they're eternal. They last forever, with layers and layers of meaning we can experience and learn from again and again. And so I wish my father the experience of a moment of joy with his mother, the experience of delight in holding one of his own children, the depth of a moment stuck at a red light, looking up at the sky. Emerson said of those that we lose in our lives that they become guides, principles, guiding stars for us to follow. He shares the death of a dear friend, wife, brother, lover, which seemed nothing but privation, somewhat later assumes the aspect of a guide or a genius, for it commonly operates revolutions in our way of life, terminates an epoch of infancy or of youth which is waiting to be closed, breaks up a wanted occupation or a household or style of living, and allows the formation of a new one, more friendly to the growth of character. Let us, as we move into prayer, do what is best, which is to listen. So I acknowledge our practitioner prayer partners who are available for prayer to join me. Let us indeed listen to our lives. See them for the fathomless mysteries that they are, in the pain and the boredom no less than in the excitement and gladness. Taste, smell, see our way into the holy and hidden heart of it, because in the last analysis, all moments are key moments, and life itself is grace. Divine Spirit, I listen for your good in my life. Even in moments that don't feel so good, I know your greatness, your grandness, your goodness is right there. God, I listen for your peace in my life. In moments of gladness or moments of chaos, I still feel your stillness. God, I listen for your silence in my life, whether in a moment of quiet or in the loud and overwhelming. I know the thread of your stillness is there. And God, I listen for your love in my life. I hear it in my relationships, in my memories, in my everyday interactions, and in my solitude. God bless our love. God bless our love. And so it is.